Relax, don't overthink, because this is going to have a negative impact on your performance. Instead, tell yourself you can't control every moment, but when you breathe, when you pause, and when you focus on the feeling, then you're going to have the biggest chance to get back into the flow. Hi folks, today I'm going to talk with you about a very, very important topic if you're an athlete or an ambitious person. The topic is why trying too hard is actually ruining your performance. Have you ever felt like the harder you tried, the worse your performance was? Or actually like your brain is freezing in high-stake moments? Here's the wild part. You're not the only one. And it's not your fault. Science says trying too hard can destroy your performance. And in today's video, we want to have a closer look at why this is the case and what you can do instead. So let's get started. So point number one is the paradox of effort. Science calls it the paradox of effort, which means the harder you try, the worse your performance is. This also means the more conscious you put effort in, the more you mess up your automatic skills. And it's not a coincidence that good coaches tell you never ever think about your technique during competition. Otherwise, you're gonna mess it up. Technique is for training, but not for competition. Simply because your brain is interfering with your automatic program. The skills that you have been practicing in training hundreds, thousands, 10,000s of time. A 2008 study in the Experimental Journal of Psychology found that golfers that were told to try their hardest performed 25% worse than the ones that were told to simply do their best. Why? Simply because over-focusing on your movements or your tasks interrupts with your mental, your brain memory and everything that you have been automating over months and years. Let's move on to point number two that you should have an eye on so that you don't overfocus. And that's the power of letting go. Top performers learn to enter a state of flow. That's where everything feels so easy. They don't have to think about anything specifically. They just do what they've learned and what they've been training, and it works like a robot more or less. But they don't try to get into that state. They simply set the right conditions. So for example, they have some very clear routines before a competition. For example, by doing some breathing exercises, meditation, visualization, working with intentions. And that's how they actually get into that state really quickly and can do this in a very natural way without forcing it to happen. And what's also very important to know when talking about flow, flow is disrupted when you're obsessed with results and outcomes. Instead, shift your focus from outcome to process. And in case you would like to know more about being process-oriented instead of goal-oriented, check out this video here. In a 2005 study on musicians, they found out that the ones in the flow state, they were more accurate and were more in an emotional balance than the ones that were simply focused on playing perfectly. So let's move on to reason number three why especially athletes and ambitious people ruin their performance. And this is joking under pressure. The main reason for doing that is mainly overthinking. And by overthinking, especially when it's crunch time, maybe during a competition, we override the brain's automatic system. So everything that you learn to do automatically and in a, let's say, perfect way is going to be overwritten by your brain, and it's not going to work anymore. Neuroscientists find out that when we are overthinking, the prefrontal cortex is activated and has a negative impact on our automatic program. The result is this is going to slow you down and make mistakes more likely. It's exactly what we've been talking about before. What happens if you start thinking about your technique? that you've been practicing so many times and you think of it in the middle of an important match, in a crunch moment. What's going to happen? Yes, you're going to fail. The solution? Trust your training. Don't force it. Just focus on your feelings and your senses. That's it. Okay, now we know why trying too hard is actually ruining our performance. But what is it actually that you can do to avoid this? Let's have a look now how to stop over-efforting. Point number 1, practice under pressure regularly. This will help you to get used to stress and pressure. This is going to feel normal for you at some point. And once you experience stress and pressure in a competition, you know exactly, you've been practicing this maybe dozens or hundreds of times, so it's exactly the same as it is in training. You're simply used to it. Point number 2 you can do if you want to win more is work with certain clues. So use clues like smooth or breathe instead of trying harder, working harder, stuff like that. This is going to have a positive impact on your brain. Point number 3, visualize success, but don't cling to it. So don't be over-focused, as we said before, on the outcome. Focus on the process, but in between visualize your vision, your goals, so that you don't get lost on the way. And last but not least, point number 4, set process goals and don't focus too much on performance and effort. So I hope these tips gonna help you in the future. And next time you feel under pressure, remember, pause, breathe, and then tell yourself, relax, don't overthink, because this is gonna have a negative impact on your performance. Instead, tell yourself you can't control every moment, but when you breathe, when you pause, and when you focus on the feeling, then you're gonna have the biggest chance to get back into the flow. If you want to help me and if you like the content, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet so far. And I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Bye.